Hey everyone, it's Adam Andrews with Aeroworks Productions here in the Aeroworks workshop, and today we're doing a review on the DJI M200. So let's get into the review. This is an aircraft that has really found a niche in the search and rescue, law enforcement, and commercial industrial inspection realm. We use the M200 in our commercial operations, and this aircraft is well suited for what it was made for. Let's talk about some of the features. We're going to talk about some of the pros and cons, some of the variants of the M200 because there are actually 3 models, and we'll talk about some of the accessories that really make this work. First off, you have your traditional quadcopter, which we're all familiar with. The difference in this is it's a very powerful, well-built aircraft. One thing you will notice as well is that the arms do fold down, or in I should say, and the stock cases that these come with allows you to make a very compact package, which is great for law enforcement, fire rescue, and so on. The landing gear does also come off with a quick release, and you pull the gear out, and this makes a very compact aircraft. Now, let's talk about the models that are available out there. This happens to be the M200. There is also a M210 and an M210 RTK. So what are the differences in those models? Well, the M200, which is the most inexpensive of the 3 models, and we'll put prices down below, includes the aircraft, a set of batteries, a charger, and their basic soft case, which is similar to what you would get when you bought your original Inspire or Inspire 1. It does not come with a camera. It does come with batteries. It comes with everything you need to fly it. It comes with the standard radio, the same radio that we've come to love with the Inspire series, the M600, and so on. And it comes with your standard mobile mount that you'd use your iPad or your phone. Now, we've actually upgraded ours to the Crystal Sky monitor. And if you're not familiar with the Crystal Sky monitor, do some research on that, check it out. We'll talk a little bit about it, but it does not come with the Crystal Sky on the M200 model. Now, what you get when you jump up to the M210 is you get the same aircraft, but you get the option to mount dual payloads on the front, as well as a top-mounted camera. So if you're doing industrial inspections, if you're doing bridge inspections, now you've got that camera that can actually look up and do underside inspections. The aircraft itself also has ports in the back that allow for those additional connections right back here. So on the 210 model, you're going to have some additional connections available to you back there, and that's going to allow you to plug in that external GPS, potentially your RTK, and some other things. So the aircraft stays the same as far as capability-wise. Now, this is IP43 rated, which means it has some weatherproof capabilities. You can fly this in the rain. You can fly this in the snow. Are you going to hose it down with a fire hose? No. But if you're out working in typical search and rescue environments where it could be foggy, could be misty, rainy, snowing, no problem at all. This thing handles the weather like a champ. The batteries are also weatherized, meaning that they do have some weather-resistant capabilities. And they look very similar to the Inspire 2 batteries. However, they are a different battery. There's actually a different part number for it, and that is because these are weatherproof. The Inspire 2 batteries are not. Again, on the M210 model, which is the next step up from here, you're going to get the additional ports, the ability to have dual sensors on the front, and the ability to top mount. And then that last model, which is the M210 RTK, features everything on the M210 with the addition of the RTK antenna system. So if you're familiar with RTK, it came out when we had the M600. It gives you the ability to have that centimeter level accuracy when in a hover, and especially when you're working around things like power lines that can throw off an electromagnetic field around them, or structures that are built out of metal, a lot of metal areas, concrete, things where you might get thrown off on your compass. That GPS that's being handled by the RTK gives you that precision hold and that reassurance that your aircraft is going to stay put. So when you're up in a hover and you're doing some type of an inspection, you know that you've got very nice precision hold due to the fact that you've got the RTK system on there. Now let's talk a little bit about the radio. The radio is, again, like I said, your standard radio that we've come to love since the Inspire 1. Again, we do have the addition of the Crystal Sky monitor, and I'll go ahead and pull that off right here. Comes off with a quick mount. So when you get this out of the box with an M200, you will get a standard mobile mount. Now, if you decide to upgrade to the Crystal Sky, not only do you have to purchase one of the 3 models of Crystal Sky, you'll have to purchase the $75 mount that mounts that on there. Now, it's a very sturdy mount. It's got a very nice locking adapter. It's got a USB 3.0 type connection on the bottom. That is what you'll need to mount that Crystal Sky. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, on the 210 series, guess what? You get the Crystal Sky, and you get the new Ascendance radio. And that is a highly upgraded radio in the fact that it has a ton of features on the front. It has knobs and buttons that are all customizable. And in fact, the full potential of that radio is not even being used yet because there's a lot of things coming in the future. So if you buy the 200, you're going to get the base model, 2 batteries, the ability to mount 1 camera on the front, and your standard mobile mount. If you buy either of the 210 models, you're going to get the new radio with the Crystal Sky monitor, the ability to mount 2 cameras as well as a top camera, and in the case of the RTK model, you can do the RTK. All right, let's talk about the pros and cons. And this aircraft has a lot more pros than it does cons, but we're going to be honest and we're going to tell you about both of them. One of the things that you're going to find with the M200 is this is what's classified at DJI as their enterprise line, meaning you're not going to walk into Best Buy and buy this aircraft. You have to go to a certified dealer or an enterprise dealer to purchase this aircraft. With that comes a lot more of a professional aircraft than you'd find buying it off the shelf. It's well built. The software, the hardware, everything that goes with it is meant to be used in an industrial application. So some of the pros, obviously, it's the traditional DJI aircraft that have continued to prove since they first came out in 2013. It's weather resistant. We've been asking for that for a long time. Search and rescue, fire rescue, police, we don't get to always fly in 70-degree sunny California weather. So having an aircraft that can actually take off in the rain, in the snow is a must, as well as the low temperature capabilities. These batteries will actually heat up if they're below the operating temperature to bring it up to operating temperature on their own. You don't have to put a warmer on them, put them on the dash. You don't have to do that. Now, if you've been out with an Inspire 1, which we've been flying for 2 years, you know that if you set that copter on the ground and maybe it had been sitting idle for a few minutes, you go to arm it up, boom, batteries aren't 15 degrees Celsius or around 50 degrees, you're not taking off. These ones here, they'll sense that. When you turn on the aircraft, if they're not warm enough, they will actually warm themselves up and you'll be ready to go. So we love the weatherproof capabilities of it. The power of this thing is amazing. These motors, we'll put a comparison side by side next to like a P4. Very powerful motors. The ability to fly, 4 miles away with this thing. Now, obviously, we got to be in line of sight, but having that reassurance that this thing will operate safely at long distances. The ability to compact this thing down, to break the arms down, take the legs off. It can fit in a small vehicle if you need to. It's not like an M600 that takes a whole truck to haul it. The battery life on these are great. Now, there's 2 types of batteries. There's the TB50s, which are the stock batteries, and then there's the TB55s, which are the upgraded larger batteries. They're almost twice as thick. Now, this is one aircraft that's kind of unique because you would think that, well, I'm just going to buy the bigger batteries. They'll work, I can fly longer and so on. That's kind of one of the cons, or one of the things you need to be aware of is that this aircraft, because of the configuration and the layout, you notice the payload is way out front and the batteries are somewhat in the middle of the center of gravity. If you're flying a single camera on the front or sensor, and then you put the bigger batteries in the back, that center of gravity is going to be off. Now, would it fly? Yeah, it would fly, but you'd be wearing out your rear motors a lot faster. So the purpose of the larger batteries is really to offset when you're flying dual cameras on the front, the heavy Z30 camera and things like that. So you can't just go out and buy the 55s and put them in if you're going to fly an XT. You could, but you're going to be flying out of CG or center of gravity on the aircraft, and you're going to be working 2 of those motors a lot harder. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And again, if you're buying this from a reputable enterprise dealer, they're going to make you aware of that. The other thing that we like on here is the sensor package. This has the visual collision avoidance in the front. You've also got a 1080p FPV camera on the front. So now when you're doing a FLIR inspection or a FLIR search, you can still look visually with your other camera. And that shows up picture in a picture on the monitor. It does have upward facing infrared sensor. And that is, again, when you're doing inspections, whether it be a wind turbine, a bridge inspection, something where you could potentially be under your subject, this will actually sense the object above you and keep you from ascending into that, obviously causing a crash. So that's a big thing. We have the traditional sonar on the bottom as well as the optical flow cameras. And that is going to keep you in a nice hover, also help with landing and things like that, similar to the Inspire 2, the Inspire 1, and now the P4. So those are all positives we love about this. Let's talk about a few of the negatives. One, it's an expensive aircraft. This aircraft, the stock M200 is over $5,000. The fully loaded RTK version is upwards of $8,000 to $10,000. So it's not a cheap aircraft. A couple of things that are a little buggy to me. One of the unique things about this aircraft, and we're just specifically talking about the M200, is that if you're flying one of the cameras that this is compatible with, one being the X4S, the X5S, the XT, or the Z30, those are the ones that are compatible right now. And in fact, the XT is one of the only ones that you need an adapter for. So that's another $100 if you're going to put an XT on there. Keep that in mind. But when you're flying the X4S, this camera was built pretty much for the M200 in that it's completely sealed. There's no camera slot. It's not weatherproof, and they don't rate it as such. But you can tell by the design of it that it was built so that you could fly it in the weather if you had to. So what they did is they put the card, the SD card, for the camera up inside the body. And it's right here, and we'll put a close-up of that. But what they did is two things. It's extremely hard to get your fingers in there. And two, they've got kind of a flimsy plastic cover on there, which feels like at any time it would break off. It's got a little rubber retainer that holds it from falling all the way out. But it is kind of hard to get to, and we've made a comment to them about that, and we may see that change in the future. So that would be one of the cons that I would have. Again, it's not the end of the world, and in fact, that's really only the case if you're flying that X4S. The XT, the card is still in the side of the camera. So that's the case there. Other than that, on the M200, you do get that soft case, similar to the original Inspire 1. It does fit the copter. It fits, several batteries and the radio, but they don't really allow you to have any other room. So if you've got the box for your camera, if you've got some other things, you can't really fit everything in there that you need to take with you. Now, when you get the 210 model or the 210 RTK, you get more of a robust hard case, and obviously you get the fancier radio and the Crystal Sky monitor. I wish, even at the $5,000 mark, I wish that, I would pay an extra $200 just to have them include a nice high quality hard case, similar to what we use when we use GPC's cases. And we're going to talk a little bit later in the video about some of the case options. GPC being kind of our preferred case provider. They have come up with a phenomenal custom case for this. It's a large case, which could be a con, but that's not a con against the aircraft. But it does hold the whole system. The aircraft, several batteries, dual radios, dual monitors, 2 or 3 different sensors, all your props, everything you need. And we're going to go ahead and show you that in a minute. Now, the stock charger is something that, for an industrial aircraft like this, it would be nice to see possibly a little higher quality charger. We do know that they are making a charging case / hub that will allow you to charge all of your batteries in the case, which is also weatherproof. But right now you get the stock Inspire 2 style charger. And this is one of those cons. When you look at the connection on the batteries, the TB50s or 55s, there's several blades here that have to line up as well as the square connector. The connector is offset inside of the charger. So you lay the battery down on the rails and you kind of slide it in, and you're not always sure that I get that in there all the way. So it would be nice if there was some other way to do that connection. It doesn't always feel like you're making a good connection. You're kind of worried about breaking the blades. But once it does sink in, both batteries do seat quite well. And the way this charger works, it is a 4-output charger. It charges 2 batteries in line. When that's done, it jumps to the next 2. So you use a AC adapter that it does come with. You plug in one connector to the top that charges the batteries. It's got the traditional Y cable, which you can charge your transmitter. So again, if you're in law enforcement, search and rescue, or even any kind of industry, it's going to be nice to see that they come out with a new hub charger that allows you to charge more than 2 batteries at a time. And you can see that was even a little difficult to get out of there. Now they do have a little release button here. I may not have had that pressed in all the way. So again, the charger can be a little clumsy. However, it is very compact. So that is a pro with the charger. Now, probably one of the most overlooked features on the M200 series is something called ATSB, also known as Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. Now, what that is a small transponder in the top of the aircraft that actually receives other aircraft's transmissions. Now, in manned aircraft, actually all aircraft by 2020 have to be equipped with ATSB, and in manned aircraft, they typically transmit and receive. The transponder inside of the M200 series is only a receiver at this time, but what it allows you to do is to pick up aircraft within 100 miles of your location. So if you're out operating and you're worried about other aircraft, which you should already be vigilant about looking for, on your screen you'll get a pop-up message stating that there's an aircraft approaching, and it gives you a recommendation to descend or land. It doesn't force you to, but it does give you that indication of where the aircraft is, the direction it's heading, and the approximate altitude from your location. So it's an awesome feature that's been added in, and DJI has been on the forefront of incorporating safety features such as ATSB into their aircraft. So we're looking forward to that to continue on as we make these aircraft safer for you, so we can fly over people, we can fly beyond the line of sight, and around manned aircraft because they're typically at higher altitudes. But these safety features like ATSB and others, the sense and avoid technology, geofencing, GPS, all these things are making these aircraft much, much safer to use. So coming up next, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the case options, and then we'll wrap up the summary. All right, let's take a look at how the M200 breaks down and packs away into the stock M200 case. First thing you're going to want to do is remove those batteries if you do have any in there. And that's done by just simply pressing the battery unlock button and slide your 2 batteries out. The next step, you can loosen your arm nuts, slide those out, and fold the arms in. It's about a quarter turn, and arms fold in. Now, one way to take the gear off that's nice is that you can turn the copter upside down and actually set it where it goes in the case. That gives you a holder. And then release the landing gear brackets and wiggle those out. The landing gear stores inside the lid of the stock case. Again, they're a little snug. Give them a little wiggle. They come right out. Store that away like that. Close your landing gear locks. Lift the copter straight out. Flip it over. And it nestles down right in here like that. You can put, I believe, up to about 6 batteries in the case. There's two here, 2 here, and 2 there. You get the battery charger in there. And there is a slot that seems to fit the Crystal Sky monitor. However, with the Crystal Sky monitor adapter on here, the radio does not fit in this particular case. Therefore, you have to either take that mount off, or in our case, we just went ahead and upgraded to the GPC case, which holds all your accessories. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that one works with the M200 series. All right, now this is the GPC M200 case. Talk about an engineering marvel here. not only do you get everything in here you need, but you've got room for every accessory you could possibly need for a mission. Now, SKB cases is what GPC uses. These are mil-spec, waterproof, dustproof cases. This particular case has wheels on the bottom for pulling. It has handles on 3 sides, a retractable handle. It's amazing. Let's take a look at some of the features in the case. So not only do we get our crystal sky monitor in here, but we can also get a second monitor or a tablet. We can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 batteries in the top layer, our radio with the adapter, charging cords, cables, props go down in here. We've even got our calibration panel in there, which actually has a slot specifically for that. And then what they did here is, rather than have to remove layers like we had to do in the M600 case, you can actually pull the drone out just like it is, or if you pull these side panels out, you can actually get down into more areas. So down in here we could have a secondary radio, we can have more batteries. We've got room for 1, 2, 3, 4 more batteries. We've got room for the crystal sky batteries as well as the charger, adapter plates, manuals. I mean, the list goes on and on. And again, you can pull this out and you can access the XT camera in here, or you could have 2 cameras in there depending on the foam insert you use. We also have our X4S camera down in front. So you could potentially carry 3 different payloads in here, along with the stock charger, all your batteries, all your cables. And then what GPC did is, for the landing gear, they have a hole right here. These actually will drop down in all the way to the bottom. Our M200 actually has some LED lights on it, so we need to modify our case a little bit. But when you put these in without the lights, these sink right down in and they're flush with the top of the case. So again, an amazing case. It's not a cheap case. It runs about $600 or $700 for this case. But when you're talking about protecting an aircraft, it's $5,000 to $8,000 to $9,000, $10,000 plus all the sensors you have in here. It's well worth the money, and it's a very high quality case. Again, waterproof, dustproof, and shut that down. It's got locks, holes for padlocks. You can also get the TSA approved latch locks now, so you can replace a couple of locks with the TSA locks. So you're good to go with air travel. Again, it does have handles on all sides. It has a retractable handle, so we'll put a link down in the description where you can get that. But for right now, guys, that is our pros and cons, a little bit of an overview of the M200. We will have some reviews coming up soon. Flying the M200 outside, we'll be doing some different techniques, mapping missions, FLIR, thermal imaging, and so on. But thanks for watching. We appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video, because we got a lot more coming out. And make sure you watch our drone vlog that comes out about every week or two. That's where Jay and I talk about the latest stuff going on in the FAA world, the drone world, and so on. We get to poke fun at some things. And make sure you comment on some of those videos, because we do call out some of our viewers. And from time to time, we do give away products. And if we call you out, you may just be one of those people. So again, it's Adam Andrews, Aeroworks Productions. Thanks for watching.